Hello, and welcome to Queen Recaps. A boy named Joe is at school, but it seems like he has not done his homework. The teacher grabs his hand and gives him a good old school beating. Right outside, Lassie has been waiting for him. She is Joe's dog, and the two of them have developed a special bond with each other. When Joe walks out of the classroom, he immediately heads towards his dog. Lassie starts licking his hand in order to ease his pain. Little Joe is used to receiving frequent beatings when he is at school. Back in the house, his mother Sarah is helping his father Sam wash the coal out of his back. Sam is a miner whose job position is being threatened. Joe has heard his parents speaking about selling Lassie, and he wants to make sure that something like that is never going to be happening. After his mother calms him down, Joe wants to sleep with Lassie. Lassie helps him go to sleep, and then she gets out of bed. She takes a seat on the floor next to Joe's bed. She never leaves him out of her sight. The next day, the people of the small town gather outside the offices that run the local mine. A severe police force has gathered at that same spot. Their goal is to prevent the miners from causing any trouble, because they are being faced with the news that the mine is going to be shut down. In other words, the workers are laid off. Although Joe is just a little boy, he is concerned by the situation. His fears come true the next day when he finishes school. Lassie is not there to wait for him when his classes are over. He runs home, and his parents have a hard time breaking the news for him. They have sold Lassie to the Duke. The Duke and his niece Scylla receive Lassie. The dog is put in a spacious outdoor cage. Scylla runs near her to check the dog out. Scylla and the Duke like the dog, but they realize that Lassie has not been eating. The Duke asks his servant, Edward, what is going on? The latter lets them know that the dog is not eating its food. Not to worry though, he is going to convince Lassie to eat. Lassie runs up and down inside her cage. She is trying to figure out a way to escape. While Joe is at school, Lassie digs the dirt below the cage and she escapes from there. She runs away. When Joe's classes are over, he is glad to see Lassie waiting for him outside. The boy gives his beloved dog the most honest hug ever. Unfortunately, he will have to give her away once more since the dog now belongs to the Duke. Edward takes the dog away in his van. On the road, he has to stop when he sees a herd of sheep walking by. That gives Lassie a chance to escape. She busts the doors open and she runs away again. However, Sam and Joe bring her back to the Duke once more. Sam has even consulted Joe to tell Lassie that he does not love her anymore and that he wants her to stay with her new masters. Edward is angry at Lassie and he has enforced her cage, making it more difficult for her to dig the ground and escape. Lassie struggles to find another solution, and she does. This time, she climbs on top of the cage and she escapes above it. Edward searches Joe's house because he believes that the dog will have run to them again. However, Lassie is not there. Joe knows where Lassie might be hiding and finds her. On the other hand, his father finds Joe. They have to return Lassie to her rightful owner, no matter how much they love her. Lassie is taken by the Duke and his family. They move by train to another city. In her new home, Lassie meets with one of the Duke's other dogs, but she probably does not like him. She starts barking at him. Edward gets hold of Lassie and the Duke instructs him to take care of her. Meanwhile, Joe is super sad and he is having a hard time living without his dog. His mother tries to console him, but she only figures out that they have caused unimaginable pain in the boy's soul. Upon that realization, she starts crying herself. The next day, Edward is having a hard time to tame Lassie. That is contrary to what the other dogs do. He tries to teach her a lesson by beating her up, but Lassie escapes. He tries to run behind her and catch her, but he is too slow. At that time, the Duke and his niece return and they find him without his belt. Edward tries to explain by speaking some mumbo-jumbo, but his pants fall to his knees. Sam has a serious talk with Joe and tries to explain the current situations. But how can he explain to a little boy that money even makes you sell your own pet? Lassie is caught by the rain, but she finds a temporary shelter. The next day, the sun is up and Lassie continues on her journey. While everybody is looking for her, she sneaks to the next town. Some policemen and the Duke manage to find her. However, she escapes again by jumping on the Duke's car and then running away. Lassie runs through the fields. Her will to return back to Joe is unlimited. She finds a house in the middle of the road, but the owner chases her away with his gun. Lassie has to make a short stop to drink some water, but then she continues on her journey. She runs uphill to the top of the mountain. Meanwhile, Sam has enlisted for the war in order to be able to support his family in these difficult times of almost starvation. Now, Lassie has to cross the river. She is able to do it and she makes it to the next town. While she walks through the crowd, she is apprehended by 2 dog catchers. They trap her. A woman tries to tell the men to treat her more carefully. The dog catchers take her to the dog shelter, but Lassie escapes again. She slips right through their hands. Lassie finds herself in a surrealistic situation inside a trial. She occupies the witness seat. The policemen try to catch her, but Lassie runs outside. Lassie jumps on a track and manages to escape once more. Lassie continues on her long journey. This time, she eventually meets a nice man named Reunite. The man is very nice to her and he offers her some food. The two quickly became friends. They even performed together for children on the street. One day, they encountered 2 robbers. They caught Reunite. Lassie tries to attract the robbers but hasn't been able. The 2 robbers beat Reunite to the ground. The little dog ran out and attached the robber's leg, but the robber was ruthless. When she saw that, she quickly turned around and rushed to help. Lassie chased the robbers away, but the little dog never regained consciousness again. Heartbroken, he hugged his pet dog. The next day, Reunite and Lassie buried the little dog. Later, Reunite and Lassie set off, but Lassie suddenly stopped and refused to continue. Reunite hugged Lassie and said goodbye to her. Lassie keeps walking and she has to face all kinds of weather, from heavy rains to extreme cold and snow. Sarah reunites with her husband for Christmas and they pray inside a church. Thankfully, Sam is not hurt. Lassie arrives in town and she meets another small dog. The small dog knows Lassie and decides to help her. The dog takes action and runs inside the church. It grabs Joe by his scarf and tries to pull him away. Joe and his family run out and they reunite with Lassie as well. They play with her while the whole town believes they are witnessing an impossible miracle. Unfortunately, one of them is Edward. Lassie is worn out by her adventure. She is tired and sick. The doctor examines her and tells everybody she is in a bad condition. She needs to rest. Meanwhile, the Duke and his niece are celebrating Christmas. She gives him a gift. Back in town, Joe is trying to feed Lassie, but something unexpected happens. Edward barges inside the house alongside 2 policemen. The policemen have seen the papers and they know that Sam sold the dog to the Duke. That means that Edward, who works for the Duke, has the right to take the dog back. However, Sam and the entire family don't trust Edward. A 500-mile trip is quite long and Lassie is very tired. The family travels with Edward and the policeman and they deliver the dog to the Duke's house. The Duke's dinner is interrupted. He and Scylla proceed to take care of the dog. Edward brags about himself and says he searched everywhere for Lassie and was able to find her. The Duke examines Lassie and sees she is very sick. Edward claims that Sam and Joe stole Lassie, but the Duke does not believe him. The Duke shows empathy and compassion and tells the policeman that the dog belongs to Sam and his family. There is no crime going on here. Edward is kicked out of the house and a couple of large dogs threaten him to get away. The family goes for a walk out in the fields. The Duke wants to have a talk with them. He offers Sam a job. He can be his pet master. Plus, his whole family can stay with them and Lassie will be their dog and not his. In the future, Lassie becomes a mother and her little puppies feed on her. Joe and Scylla both enjoy playing with her. They run out to the fields with Lassie and her puppies. Remember to subscribe to my channel, and we will see you next time.